Hey everyone, it's me, Crystal, with ArmyWife101.com. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I had promised that I was going to do a video on pcs'ing, which is like the biggest one that I needed to do. And of course, I wanted to have my stuff written out and all that good stuff to give you some great information. So I've taken the time to do that. I hope I've covered everything. I probably haven't. Hopefully I can get this done in under 10 minutes because that's the amount of time YouTube gives you to do a video. But if not, I'll have to break it up into two parts. I've kind of wrote it down in about 10 to 12 simple steps. So if I miss anything, feel free to email me at askarmywives101.com. I'm sorry, askarmywives101@gmail.com. Or just go to armywife101.com, and at the top, you should be able to click on Ask Army Wife 101 and contact me. All right? So here we go. I'm reading off of my notes now, so don't laugh. Here's how it's going to go. PCS, Permanent Change of Duty Station. No idea why they call it that because we know our moves are never permanent. Number 1, your soldier should receive his orders while in AIT. He can find his orders on the Ask section, which is the assignment satisfaction key of his AKO. Number 2, well, before I get to number 2, let me throw a note in there. Even though I live OCONUS, which means outside the continental United States, meaning an overseas move that I did, pretty much today I'm just going to talk about CONUS moves, meaning all in the United States, continental United States. We'll talk about overseas moves another day. At the end of the day, you can apply all this to overseas moves. There's only a few brief changes. So listen up. I got some really good information here. Number 2, your husband or your spouse, I know we have some male spouses, should receive briefings at AIT on travel allowances, movement of household goods, as well as complete all the paperwork in regards to those. Your soldier is the one who will set up the movement of your household goods. Most likely he will set it up through the closest post near you. If for some reason he can't, hopefully you have a POA and you should be able to do it too. When he comes home, the amount of time he has to travel between home or AIT and his first duty station differs. In my situation, he had 5 days, which worked out great since we were only going from North Carolina to Georgia. So that depends on his situation. 4, when the movers come, you don't have to have a grand buffet for them. But coffee and donuts, if it's in the morning, or pizza and sodas, it'll be a nice gesture. Not to mention it'll help them move quicker because they probably won't have to take a lunch break. And at the end of the day, some people choose not to. Some people make a big stink about it. I don't see the big damn deal. These people are moving your stuff. My stuff is in their hands. I want them to be good to my stuff. So, throwing them a couple of sodas in 90-degree weather isn't going to hurt you. Okay? The Army will move up to a certain amount of weight based on rank and not dependence. Okay? I think, like, for instance, if you're an E4, it might be up to 8,000 pounds. That doesn't change because you're an E4 and you have, 7 kids. Okay? It's still going to be 8,000 pounds. Don't quote me on that figure. I'm just using that as an example. If you're an E9 and, you had 10,000 pounds as your weight for your rank, even if you have 20 kids, it's not going to change. Okay? So that's how that goes. So weight, the amount the Army will move is based on rank and not number of dependents. 5, another type of move is a ditty move, which is known as a do-it-yourself move. I believe it goes by another name now, which basically means you move everything at your own expense and the government will reimburse you up to a certain amount. Honestly, I have a great link with a bunch of information about it. My husband, he happened to be married before. He did the ditty move when he was in the Marine Corps. He has some really good information he told me, which I'll tell you at the end of this. But at the end of the day, I have a great link with a whole bunch of information about ditty moves. We've never done one since we've been in the Army because I just think it's not worth the hassle when the Army will do it for free. Number 6, be sure to have all important documents in a special folder. This includes medical records, birth certificates, social security cards, financial records, passwords, whatever. These documents should be moved by you and your soldier, not the movers. So keep those in a nice folder. You can get a good folder from the PX or Staples, Office Depot, wherever. Okay, and put them in there. For the research part of things, all I can say is research, research, research. Okay? To find out about housing on post, visit the Army's official housing website, which is https://onestop.army.mil. The site tells you everything you need to know about housing. It tells you about the post you're going to live on, medical stuff, stuff that's on post, activities, whatever. And plus, you can normally see pictures of the housing, or it'll give you a link to the housing office and all that good stuff. Okay? No one can tell you how long the housing list is at a post. The reason I'm touching on that is because I'm the moderator of a couple of different forums, and one of the things I always see is spouses saying, how long is the housing list at this particular base? I don't know, and neither does anybody on there unless they work in the housing office. that stuff changes all the time. Not to mention situations are always different, because let's say the housing list might be shorter for a couple versus a housing list for a couple that has 3 kids, okay? So nobody knows, so always give the housing office a call, okay? Um, so just remember, situations differ. If your friend knows a friend who knows a friend at Fort Bragg and they got into housing a day after they arrived there, doesn't mean it's going to happen for you, okay? What's the next thing? Biggest thing people don't know, and feel free to fight me on this if you want to, but I know it's true because I've done it several times, not to mention I was told by a housing person, so I believe it. Biggest thing most people don't know is that you can put yourself on a housing list even though you have not moved there yet, but you must call the housing office directly and fax them your orders, okay? I know when we PCS here to Hawaii, people told me up and down that I could not get on the housing list until we arrived here foot on ground. But I called housing, and guess what? I was able to fax my husband's orders and a copy of my ID, and we were added to the list right away. From there, I was able to log onto the waiting list site for the Army post here, and I was able to check my status and see what number I was. I also did the same thing at Hunter, which is in Georgia. That was our last duty station. Okay? So bear with me. I'm checking my time here. I'm trying to stay under 10 minutes. Okay? Don't be afraid to make housing personnel do their job. Housing is still part of the Army, which basically meaning, though, that even though housing is ran by a lot of private contractors these days, excuse me, I hurt my tooth, lots of the people who work in these offices are spouses as well, meaning that there's a high turnover rate. So a lot of times things aren't known. You have a bunch of new people in and out. Sometimes they don't know, and you have to make them ask or be asked to speak to somebody else higher than them. For housing off-post, visit the Army's official off-post housing site. It's not even the Army, it's the Automated Housing Referral Network, but it's mainly for all the military. It's www.ahrn.com. I'm going to put these links at the bottom of this video in the blog. Before you sign any rental contracts, you want to make sure there's a military clause, and that's why AHRN is a good site, because most of those rentals on there have those in it, military clauses. Okay, greatschools.net is a great site for researching schools on and off post, so check that out. Make lodging reservations at least 30 days prior to arriving at your new duty station. Do not wing it and wait. There is nothing worse than arriving in a new state, a new country, wherever, and not having a place to stay. Trust me, I know. Okay? When staying in lodging, CONUS, meaning here in the U.S., you'll be reimbursed, but usually you have to stay at the lodging facility at your new post, and in order to stay at another hotel, the lodging facility on post usually has to issue a statement of non-availability saying that there's no rooms available. At this point, you can either stay at another hotel up to a certain amount per night, since the Army will only reimburse you for so much per night, or you'll get a list of approved hotels from the lodging on post, and you can stay there. Okay? Please don't go to try to stay at the Ritz Hotel and think you're getting a free vacation, because you probably won't be reimbursed for that. Okay? You also receive up to a certain amount per day for food for dependents. I'll provide links to all of these. Okay? So we're going to hit the rumor mill now. I'm up to about 9 minutes. And I think I'm about to run out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. Rumor mill is really short, and it's just a couple of rumors that people tend to believe that are not true. But I hope this provided you some good information. So stay tuned for part 2, and I'll be back. Bye.